Oh, you're muted, Grant.
Muted. What's up? Welcome
There
to the
we
show.
go.
I'm Grant Cohn. That's Tony Farmer. We got a lot to talk about today. The Eagles are trying to make moves. The Rams have made moves. The Niners are flirting with one of their own free agents. I wonder if you can guess which one it is. It's the most exciting one, maybe the best one. But before we get there, I think we need to start with Trent Williams because I feel like we're on Trent watch. Free agency starts on the 9th. He wants to be a part of that. If he were a free agent on Monday, he'd probably get a 3-year, $90 million contract with $50 million guaranteed. He knows that. That's what he wants from the 49ers. So they have to decide, do they give it to him or do they cut him? They could drag this out, but on April 1st, they have to give him $10 million and then he would hold out. I don't think they necessarily want to do that. They could. What do you think, Tony? Where is this going to go?
I think Trent Williams has more leverage in negotiations than the Niners would like right now. When you look at how the Niners have done when he's in the lineup and when he's not in the lineup, I'm a sports bettor, so I look at that sort of things. And the 49ers are a much better team when he's in the lineup, and he knows that, and the 49ers know that. Definitely a huge price tag for a team that has a lot of holes on both sides of the ball. So there is a silver lining here. If Trent Williams goes, you got a little bit more money that you can spend on other people, but he also has the retirement leverage. I know there hasn't been a lot of talks about him retiring, and I don't think he wants to retire, but that doesn't mean he can't use that as a leverage piece and say, you know what? You guys don't want to pay me what I want. I'm out of here. See you later. And that can help him get the kind of money that he wants in this situation. So I liked your tweet. I appreciated your tweet about, him considering the 49ers his personal ATM. That got a chuckle out of me because there are certain players that do a little better at milking. And he certainly has been milking the 49ers, and this may be an opportunity for him too. But if you put me on the spot and said, Tony, what is the outcome going to be? I think cooler heads are going to prevail. The 49ers realize how valuable he is to this team. They're probably going to overpay him, and I think that's probably the most likely scenario here.
To me, this comes down to who do you think's really in charge with the 49ers? I think for the last 8 years or 9 years, it was the football people. It was Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. And if Kyle Shanahan went to the Yorks and said, look, we have to have Trent Williams, they would keep Trent Williams. He did that with Brandon Ayuk, famously. We have to have Brandon Ayuk. I don't care what anyone else says in the organization. We're going to give him $120 million, and they did it. I don't know if he still has that power. If it were a football decision made by football people, I think they would hold on to Trent because they've been terrified to move on from Trent since they got him. Mm-hmm. But if it's a business decision, would Parag say we have to have Trent, or would a business guy say it's a bad investment? It's a bad investment. You're too old. It's too much money. It's a good draft for offensive tackles. Let's get one.
I like you bringing up the Ayuk thing because that's gotta leave a bad taste in the mouth of the man writing the checks. And you're coming to me 2 years later. What did you tell me 2 years ago with Brandon Ayuk? Yeah, that's got to be fresh in their minds, and I think Kyle may have lost a little credibility there. I think that's fair to speculate.
How many have worked out for the 49ers, for the older players? They extended Kittle last year. He was hurt half the year. They extended Fred Warner last year. He got hurt for most of the year. They extended Purdy. He was hurt half the year. Extended Colton Gibbon. One worked out.
You bring up the injuries. Some of this is just regression too. Like when people talk about Ayuk and he held out and he had the injuries and stuff. When you look at his last 11 games, I think he had 1 touchdown in his last 11 games. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it's just flat out regression that you're not even blaming on injuries as well. And I had this conversation with people on Twitter recently because they're like, "Oh, this is an NFL-wide problem. Typically, when you pay players, they perform worse later." Yeah, that's true, but it certainly seems to happen a little more often in Santa Clara than the average team, for sure.
I mean, you already know he's not going to play 17 games. He was, I think, significantly worse in 2025 than 2024, although he was still very good in 2025. But I feel like you started to see the fall off. He wasn't good in the playoffs. He got beat by, who was it, Nolan Smith on the Eagles, and he clearly held him, but they didn't call it. And he had that great line saying, if it's not a speeding ticket if you don't get caught. Yeah, I love that. But these are the Niners. This is the Bill Walsh team that said get rid of him a year early rather than a year late. Right. You've gotten so much out of Trent Williams. This is the time. I think I'd be disappointed if they gave him $50 million guaranteed at his age for 14 games and some compromise play in the playoffs. No. you should be able to find an offensive tackle either in free agency or the draft who's younger and cheaper and make it work. I mean, no other team has not every team has a Hall of Fame left tackle.
Yeah, if the 49ers keep Trent Williams, I can live with that. If the 49ers lose Trent Williams, I can live with that. What I can't live with, the unacceptable thing, is if they let Trent Williams go and don't massively refortify the offensive line. Because with Trent Williams, the offensive line is still one of the biggest question marks on this team. With Trent Williams, it's still one of the biggest concerns on this team. So if you get rid of the best piece of your offensive line and don't not just fortify the left tackle position, but other spots along, I want to see depth too. I want to see some quality proven guys that can come in if guys get hurt. They need to address the position if they get rid of him. They need to spend that money wisely for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when they first went to the Super Bowl in 2019, they had a pretty good offensive line, and it was not just one player. You had Joe Staley making good money. They had Laken Tomlinson, who was a first-round pick. They didn't draft him, but he had pedigree. They signed Weston Richburg to a pretty big contract. He was a second-round pick for the Giants. They had a first-round pick at right tackle. Like there was talent across the board. It wasn't elite, but there was talent across the board. Then they went in the Trent Williams era, and he's the best offensive lineman they've had in my lifetime. But everyone else is cheap because he's so expensive. They've had to they've chosen to put all their eggs into the Trent Williams basket in the offensive line, and that's why they're sticking with Jake Brendel because he's the cheapest veteran center they can get. And Colton McKivitz is the cheapest veteran right tackle they can get. No offense to Colton McKivitz, who's improved significantly. But I don't really like the strategy of putting all your eggs in one basket. The guy is 38. He's one of 5. And on the defensive line, they've done the same thing with Nick Bosa. He's a really good player, but he's not Myles Garrett, and he misses a lot of time. And when he's not on the field, you got the worst defensive line in the league. So, yeah, it'd be nice to maybe spread the wealth around a little bit on these positions in the trenches.